Hey there guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you all are doing fine and dandy today. Sorry, I woke up in a bit of a hype mood, so I feel like I've got a tiny bit more energy than what I'm used to. That's why I'm slightly earlier than usual. I feel like I'm in one of the moods where I could just sing to people and I wouldn't care, compared to how one would usually feel. I could be like an opera singer. I really could. Anyway, today's video I wanted to talk about how different movements, that is, of today and was once a old movement, has changed for the worse compared to how it used to. So I'm going to be giving my experience being, a gay individual, talking about how the LGBT community has changed, but then I'm also going to talk about the documentaries and the interviews that I've seen that's like early 2000s downwards when it comes to like the feminist movement, or when it comes to like the Black Lives Matter movement, but before it became Black Lives Matter. So I'm going to talk about the good that they fought for, that I've witnessed on YouTube, and kind of the nonsense that they fight for now. So just a disclaimer, I am a humanist where I believe in the human rights of everyone who deserves that right. But the humanism is all about, like I say, rights, but not about feeling entitled and feeling like you can one-up what you think your enemy is. Because that's anti-human rights to the opposition. So I am for anyone who is generally being bullied or being targeted or being denied rights that they should have. What I'm not for is, like I say, alienation of another side. So I'm gonna do three main communities: the LGBT community, the black community, and the feminist community. I'm going to go from like the one that I personally have not experienced the least myself, which is the feminist movement. And then I'm going to kind of work my way up into the one that I actually do have experience with. So I'm going to go feminism, Black Lives Matter, and then LGBT community. So, the feminist movement, again, I really do not want to offend anyone. But I feel like this video needs to be made, or at least be made now so someone can see it in the future. So I think that feminism is in itself a good thing. I think it's a great thing, because when you look at the definition of feminism from now and from what it was back in the day, it's all about people who are women basically getting equal rights, and also not being seen as just sex objects and seen as just as independent as men. To me, that is a very nice thing to fight for, and it's something that I think we should have fought for years ago, but obviously times and whatnot. And when you look kind of, like I say, back in the past, on the old interviews on YouTube, kind of, I would say before 2010 downwards, pretty much all women was asking for was to be paid as much now, as much as men, if they have the same experience and also the same qualifications as a guy, and even if they went to the same school, because that is a big factor within the pay gap. A lot of people don't know that it's all about what school you went to, the grades you got, how the interview went, if you come across as more confident, and it also comes across as also experience as well. Like if you've worked in a previous company, I've seen documentaries on like people on YouTube talk about this, basically, who are a part of that research. So I don't think that happens now, especially in England and especially in Nottingham. You know, we're a progressive society now, so that doesn't really happen anymore. And if it does, it's because of something that the woman didn't do as well as the man did. So even if they had the same grades, the same experience, and they went to the same school, um, if the woman is a bit more submissive in a way and wasn't as confident in the interview as the guy would, and she would just accept the first or second pay, where men often will know what they're worth when it comes to what they will get paid for, so then they'll bargain and ask for as much as they can, because a company will pay as little as they can. You know, it's just how the world works. So people don't take into consideration that plays a huge factor. You know, unfortunately, we don't live in utopia where everyone gets paid exactly the same and people who look after people get paid as much as a business to do with an object. You know, I always kind of say to people, overall, if your job involves people and looking after people in a certain way, you will get paid less. But then if your business or job is all about an object, regardless of what the object is, you will get paid 2-3 times as more, because objects are easy to come by, and obviously you don't really have to look after an object like you have to do a human being. So kind of going back to my main point about the pay gap, you know, it's been debunked so many times of today, but obviously back in the day, like I say, probably I haven't done like the proper research, but I'm just gonna kind of take a guess where it was like 2005 downwards, maybe even 2010. Like, I'll give it that. Downwards, where women weren't paid as much, and that was because of tradition and sexism. But now that it's changed, but women still feel like that exists, and they go on about it way too much, to the point where some of them get mardy, and it's kind of like an unhealthy business work ethic. Like, I've heard both women and men complain on that kind of woman, that they always complain about, like the pay gap and all that. And I've heard them basically say that it makes their work environment not as good, and some people don't even talk to them. So that's one thing that I think is like a misconception now. Another thing to do with the feminist movement is to do with they don't know, or they don't understand that women have privilege too, that men don't have. For example, a woman can punch or like hit a guy, but when a guy does the same thing to a woman, they're accused of being like, or an abuser, and you know, he does this at home, and the poor woman's like frail. But if a woman does the same thing to the same extent, she is seen as someone who can look after herself, and almost seen as like a top-notch feminist person. And to me, it's all about balance. You know, if a woman is allowed to punch a guy, I will say, obviously, it doesn't happen that often. Women overall are, really nice human beings, just like guys are. But I have seen some women flaunt on TikTok and that kind of platform, basically saying, oh, because of my privilege, I can touch you, but you can't touch me, which is just like really braggy, but it's the truth. Not to mention the prison system. Unless you have a kid, and unless your sentence or court case is to do with kids, because the court has always had a thing against mums where they will 9 times out of 10 make the kids be with the dad or be a part of the dad's life, even if the dad's like a really bad person. So I'll give it if it's a mum with a case, but if it's just a woman on her own, whatever thing that she will get is 9 times out of 10 going to be less of a sentence than if a guy did the exact same thing. And it's because women aren't seen as dangerous in the society as men because of the sexist society. So because of that, there is a system in the prison and the court system that is sexist towards men because we are seen as the more dangerous one. So even if a woman has done the exact same thing as what a guy did, and to the same extent, she will get a lesser sentence. There's another thing as well, that a lot of women will kind of say that they've dealt with bad experiences in the workplace if their business is kind of like a high end business and they want to be professional. Again, I will give them that. There are douchebags everywhere and there are douchebag situations, but it's not a thing that I've witnessed or I've been told about through women that happens like all the time. So it's like the odd occasion, and I so don't condone that. But at the same time, the same thing happens to men whenever a guy wants to be a carer or deal with kids. You know, they will get the same amount of looks, if not worse, because they'll be seen as like a weakling, or they'll be assumed as like a pedophile. At one time, kind of back in the day, I'd say probably like in the 90s, early 2000s, it used to be popular for for male midwives to be kind of around and to love their job. But now, because of the whole cry and the whole public persona of like males with kids being like paedophiles or whatever, now there's no such thing in this country, which I think is like a waste of a talent. So again, that is a privilege that women get that men don't get, a whole job. Another thing that women will get privilege over that they don't really talk about and that they don't want to acknowledge is the fact that things have changed in the society when it comes to rape. So I am not denying that in the past, like, to me, the past was a dark time when it comes to equality for anyone. So when anyone talks about the past, I will pretty much agree straight away, because the past was uninformed and it was just nowhere near as good now. Like, now we're informed and now we see people as equal for the most part. So when I talk about this kind of thing, I'm talking about today. So in today's society, there is the stigma against men that men can't experience a bad experience when it comes to like rape or sexual misconduct. Like, it's only a thing with women. I've heard a lot of woke, toxic feminists say that, oh, it's impossible for like men to get abused or get raped or get sexually assaulted because they are the dominant sex, which obviously is like so not true. There are many, many, many cases where guys unfortunately do get touched by both women and men, mostly men, but women as well. And, you know, it really does break my heart, because obviously no one should have to deal with that. Not if you're a guy or if you're a girl or if you're trans or whatever. Like, no one should have to deal with that. And it just makes me sad that some women, some radical women, think that, because, like I say, it's just wrong and it's sad. It shows the lack of compassion within their eyes and their soul. Yeah, it's just really sad. A lot of people that are like woke feminists or of the feminist community do good stuff. I'm not gonna say that all they do is bad. Obviously, the feminist movement came from an old tradition of fighting for rights, and now overall we have them rights. And I think that people need to think, wow, the people back then who were fighting for the same thing that I was dealt with so much hardship and so much like laughing and like mockery and even like actually physically fighting. And now overall we don't have to deal with that because now we have what we want. And I'm talking about the women, the blacks and the gays basically. We need to give solitude to what our ancestors fought for back in the day. So I've just come to realise that I've been talking for a while, and also I've still got the Black Lives Matter community and the LGBT community to talk about. So I've made a decision that I'm going to do it in parts. So I'm going to do it in 3 parts for the whole week. And I'm going to talk about each community on each day. So I'm going to title this video something like what the movements are like now that have changed back then, part 3. And then I'll also put a separate title, feminist movement. Alright guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this channel and this video. If you give it if you liked it, give it a like and comment down below. If you agree or disagree, or if you have a story about sexism, whether you're a guy or a girl, or if you are trans and you lived as one and the other, and if you have first-hand experience now of what it's like to be both within your life, please let me know down below. I'd love to hear your stories. So either in the comments, leave your stories, or I'll link my Twitter socials down below. Let me know on there if you're not as confident to do it on YouTube. And I'll also link my second channel where I review music and I state my favourite songs, and then I give suggestions on who would like this kind of music. So yeah, hope you guys have a great day, and I love you.